Continuing our program, we invite Dr. Saroja ma'am, former principal, Government Law College Ernakulam and Government Law College GLCT advisor LJRF to present a special address. She is an accomplished legal educator, previously served as the principal of Government Law Colleges in Thrissur and Trivandrum. She obtained her LLB from Government Law College Trivandrum, followed by an LLM in CUSAT in 1985. Dr. Saroja held leadership roles such as chairman of Board of Studies and Dean of Examinations in multiple universities. Since retiring in 2015, she teaches maritime law at KUFOS, Kochi, and is an academic advisor for the LJRF State Chapter. May I request Dr. Saroja ma'am to do the honors.
Respected dignitaries on and off the dais, I'm really privileged to stand here in addressing this seminar or a conference on women's cell conducted by the Women's AMU Center Malappuram and DLSA Manjeri in association with the LJRF Center for Women and Children. This is actually a workshop on human rights and women understanding and analysis. I'm very thankful to Aligarh Muslim University Malappuram Center for inviting me for this special address. And my special thanks to Nasima for being a part of this workshop. Actually, it's a very sensitive issue when we talk about women and human rights. It's actually a topic which has been debated over and over again in many platforms and all over the world. Millions of women throughout the world actually live in conditions of abject deprivation of attacks against their fundamental rights for none other reason than being a woman. When we consider the international scenario and the national scenario as far as human rights about women is concerned, it's almost the same. Nonetheless, the difference, that is, in all regions, in all culture, there have been struggles against oppression, injustice, discrimination, and struggle for human rights and freedom. In the international scenario, some changes in human rights and development came after the Second World War. That is, in 1948, the UDHR acknowledged human rights as a global responsibility. In 1960, women's rights again became an important, it boomeranged as an important issue in USA. And again in 1966, National Organization of Women advocated equality for women. So as I said earlier, the scenario in the international arena as well as in the national is the same. We feel that the concept of unequal payments, domestic violence, harassment, dowry demand, discrimination at workplace, all these are happening. And when we come into the status of women in the family, we have umpteen number of laws and practices governing women personal status, their legal equality and role in the family center to deny women rights. See, while discrimination may vary from region to region or from state to state or from country to country, women, as I said earlier, throughout the world, we found that it's the same in the sense that it is based on how their relationship relate or to a male relative, or the discrimination is based on this kind of relationship. And we can see that the past 20 years, women is given equal rights to property, but the judges in many cases continue to apply customary laws. See, I should have actually said this before the judge who was present here. And Justice V.R. Krishna here, once in a platform relating to human rights, he was telling that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So unless justice is given, there is injustice. So we are all human beings, and all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. So there is no discrimination. There should not be any discrimination, in the sense that we are all human beings, men and women, both are human beings. If men are given certain rights, women also should get their rights, due rights. So being a human being, we are entitled to certain rights or equal in treatment to men. See, I want to say a few words as to the POSH Act. That is the guidelines that was given by the Supreme Court in Vishaga case. Now, after the guidelines in Vishaga case given by the Supreme Court, they came an act in 2013 relating to the prevention of sexual harassment at workplace, which we call it as the POSH Act, and Supreme Court regulation 2013, and again guidelines came in 2015, and we also have the Advocates Act 1961. But when the Ranjan Gogoi case, the case came against the Chief Justice of India. So even the Supreme Court and the High Court, women in the legal field, in order to seek remedies, only a few options are available. See, one thing I came to discuss with the lady advocates in the High Court and in the Supreme Court was that the cell which the guidelines has been given in the Vishaga case, and there is also the POSH Act 2013 supported by the guidelines again in 2015, sufficient amendments. Even the High Court and Supreme Court, though they have their women's association, bar council, etc., the cell within the justice system is not functioning properly. So suppose a lady advocate has a complaint against the judge, male judge. The system is not under proper functioning. So when a woman within the justice system is facing such a threat, so a complaint against the CJI, that is Ranjan Gogoi, it became problematic. You all know about that case. It became problematic because it was done as an in-house proceedings. And see, this is an insult or an injustice to ordinary citizens, because the ordinary citizen watches in horror how the official machinery, like the higher judiciary, entrusted with the task of dispensation of justice in a fair and equitable manner, it can be misused by those who are wielding power. So we have the Indian Penal Code provisions 354, outraging the modesty, etc. But these laws are not sufficient to protect women, because survival of the fittest, that early theory is still there. Those who are fit, those who are having power, those who are superior, those who are rich, or those who are above the common man or the layman, that is suppressed whether they are women or men. So in that case, we all stand in the same position, men and women. Now coming to human rights in ancient India, see, the concept of human rights may be new. That is, but the idea of human rights, it can be traced back to the creation of man itself. See, this idea is embedded in all religions, culture, and the philosophies that contributed towards the understanding and broadening of that concept. It is the equalization of values that are common heritage of mankind. Again, the concept of universal ethics, it has its origin from religion and God, the creator of all that exists. All the religious texts incorporate moral and humanistic principles. The influence of religion and faith is evident in all legal systems from time immemorial. I like to quote Justice V.R. Krishna once more. He once observed that civilized codes explicitly spelling out human rights, qua human rights, did not exist. That is, here, even though that is theologies and philosophies did fertilize the soil where the right of men, where the groups and the divisions, denominations could flourish. The history of human rights could be incomplete without tracing their sources in the history of plural religions, spreading universal values and sustaining social systems. So the right, that is the human rights, it is nurtured by human beings in the society where we live. So it is we who have to nurture it. It is we who have to identify what is human. And there was once a doubt whether the animals have human rights. That is, we being human beings, we have human rights. But the animals are also living things. Whether they have rights. So it is so specifically embedded in the system where we live in. In short, human rights are the values which are cherished by every society. These values are shaped by the religion and philosophy, and in the same way, every legal system, whether Eastern or Western, and perhaps the oldest culture, that is our culture, is the most acclaimed or most innovative way of establishing and supporting human values. See, once the Supreme Court in a famous case said that the fundamental rights represents the basic values. That's what Nasima also said. It is established by the people of this country since the Vedic times, and they are calculated to protect the dignity of the individual and create conditions in which every human being can develop his personality to the fullest extent. See, every human being means there is no discrimination between man and women. Man is a human being, women is also a human being. So whatever right or whatever space that is enjoyed by men, the women are also entitled to it equally. Now, ancient India actually witnessed so many invaders who conquered India and established their dominion in India. Each one of them brought their own culture with them. So Indian society was magnanimous to accept all these cultures with both the hands. And being an Indian, that was the concept. We accepted all the cultures, all the ideologies, all the philosophies that was brought from different areas. And India became a pluralistic and multi-cultural society. See, that is the greatness of Indian culture and Indian philosophy. So Indian culture never saw the individual and society as hostile to each other. We live in the society, we have certain culture, we have certain morals. We should respect it, we should respect each other. So the idea of human right envisages that every human being has the right to equality. So being a human being, I have the right to equality, whether I am a man or a woman. And that is to say the right to be treated equally without any discrimination. So when you go into that, the provisions of the UDHR, there are around 30 items which are given as far as the and are meaningless. So this denotes the advocacy of social equality. So before I conclude, I want to say one more thing, that is, human rights are rights which entitle mankind to a decent, civilized life in which the inherent dignity of each human being will receive respect and possession. These rights are fundamental to our nature, and in the absence of this rights, we cannot live as human beings. So we have traditional rights, economic rights, and see, when you go into our constitution, it is very clear, even in the preamble, all the values are written very clearly. You don't have to go into UDHR, you don't have to go into the declaration of the UN rights and all that. It is very clear in the preamble, has how secular our rights are, how we respect mankind, how women are to be, and also in the fundamental duties, and also in the Article 14, 15 and all, it's very clear that discrimination is totally based. And being a workshop conducted by the women cell or the women wing of AMU, I want to tell you one thing. Actually, it's not the men who are creating problems. It's the women themselves creating problem for women. So it is we women who have to this I will tell in any platform, because not in every case, but there are more instances of women creating problems for women more than men creating problem. Harassment, see, the values has to be taught by the parents in the house. See, the civilized society starts from the house. So it is the father and mother who have to be role model to their children. They should respect each other. The husband should respect the wife should respect the husband. It is from that relationship the children start realizing the value of respect. So unless you start respecting each other, give respect and take respect. You cannot demand anything. And we live in a society where we follow other people's. So, and in our society, in our current society, we don't have any role models. In many of my classes, I have asked students whether they are willing to accept dowry. And the boys usually say that they are not bothered about the dowry. But the girls in the class, they say that if they have, let them give. If the parents have money, let them give. So that is a situation wherein the women are trying to make a demand even in their households. So this situation can be changed only by the society in which we live. And that society includes the parents, the neighbors, the institutions where we study, education from the institutions where we get our degrees. All these have a very important role to play. And the society in which we live is highly complicated and competent. Competition is existing. So where survival is very, very difficult unless you have your own space. So one request to all present here is that you get your education, especially women. You get your education, be economically independent, and then only you will be respected and you will get a proper space. So that should be your priority and that should be your motto. And the men also should see that their girl children get educated. They are aware of their rights. And that should be their aim in life. Thank you very much. I thank the organizers, especially Nasima and the AMU faculty members, for inviting me for this special address. Thank you very much. Thank you.